Hello there. My name is Aaron Romero, and this is the Out of Office Chat. And today I'd like to talk about quality family time, the edges of Shanty Town, and an underwhelming TV show finale. Now, let me first start off by saying, for those that are going to be watching this video, I might look a little dead. I'm a bit tired. I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't fall asleep till like 3 a.m. It was unfortunate because it's so beautiful out today. It's man, it's sunny, not a cloud in the sky. I think it's gonna be pushing like 78 degrees out. But it's all right. It's all right. You know what I'm gonna do? What I did was I went to a local restaurant called Café con Leche. Uh, it's uh, it's I think it's Cuban, and I got myself a café con leche, which is kind of like a latte. It's a latte. I have it here, so I got a large. I'm gonna try to make sure that I'm as lively as possible for this episode. And yeah, so I want to start off with the this segment, quality family time, for a specific reason. So yesterday, yesterday we kicked off the day. Our son was oh, and I'm getting a Snapchat. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So our son wasn't feeling all that well. And we decided, let's take it easy. Let's take it easy yesterday. And what we hope to do, previously we planned to go to a baby shower, but our son started getting the sniffles. He started having a fever leading up to the weekend, and he was very cranky. So we messaged our friend and said that we wouldn't be able to go. So we decided like to hang back and try to take it easy. And that's what we did. It actually was a very, very much needed day of rest for all of us. For my wife, for my son, for myself. So I mean, it was great. I can't even describe how beautiful yesterday was. We got up. We had to drop something off at a store, so we went. And through the entire time, our son either walked or was in the little what you call it, the push cart, and it was just a riot. So after that, after the store, we came back. He napped. We all napped. We all knocked out. We knocked out for like 3 hours. It was freaking nuts. Um, but I think for him, it was much needed, given that he's still recovering. And then ultimately for us, I think we just really needed it. You know, um, between all of us. So I'll get to it in a moment. But then after that, ultimately, we spent the evening. We watched some TV. We don't do that often anymore, and we watched Cars 2. And it was good. It was good. I really liked Cars 2. My wife and I want to watch Cars 3, and it's mostly my wife and I that are kind of vested into it. Our son is a little bit kind of, I'll take it or leave it. He enjoys the popcorn part of it. We make popcorn, and he enjoys all of that. And so he was such a good boy yesterday, the entire day. Like as of late, it's I think I mentioned in the last episode, it was a little rough for him. He stayed with his grandparents, and then recently, due to some ailments, he had to go to what you call it, daycare. And daycare is hit or miss. Like some days he's really great about it. Sometimes like he's like, okay, yeah. Other days he's just like does not want to go. So I think on top of that, moving from one place to another, where he was so used to just a single location, it kind of uprooted his kind of routine. And I think a lot of that goes into kind of his behavior and his moods, his crying. And I'm still figuring it out. I think at that age, little ones, toddlers are just, there's no sugarcoating their emotion. That's why they can go from super happy to super angry to super happy again. It is quite the roller coaster with a little one. But yesterday, he was in such a good mood the entire day. I think he was just happy to spend time with my wife and I. Again, it's been such a busy time. My wife is a teacher, and her year is kind of winding down, but it's not without kind of these ups and downs at work. And then myself just, juggling those two careers I have, and a busy time for both. It's just a little bit overwhelming. And on top of that, what we end up doing is we get home late, we're tired, we don't want to play. I mean, we do play, but we're like, bleh. But in any case, yesterday was great. Everyone was in a wonderful mood. It was still beautiful outside, and he the only time he cried I think 3 times, all in a span of about 5 minutes. And the reason he cried was because he wanted to make the popcorn because we were watching Cars 2. He wanted to make the popcorn and it spilled. He spilled because he reached over, he overreached and knocked down the cup of popcorn. But it's all right. We lost a third of it. And then we went back and we put it, we kind of, leveled all of it out. And then he dropped it again right here in the couch. You can look at, you can probably even see still some of the popcorn right there, right there. Look at that. That's his doing. So he cried. And then he cried a third time because he knocked it over again on the couch. You can't see it. And we cleaned it up. But I mean, those were the only times he cried. I think the most of the he was in such a good mood the entire day. Even going down for bed was not a fight. And what's wild, is interesting is before I knew I was telling my wife I know he's gonna go down. He's not even gonna go down with a fight. I told her after the fact, but I had a feeling like when it's been a good day when your toddler who sees the bed as a plaything, a trampoline, something to jump on, doesn't want to. You just chill, just taking it easy. No need to jump around the bed. He's had his fill for the day. And so I was getting him ready for bed. And he wasn't jumping on it. He was just very, very relaxed. He was just kind of, all right, it's time to get ready for bed, no biggie. And what's wild, so my suegra, my mother-in-law, the night before, I think one of the reasons why he woke up a little bit better today than previous days was because my suegra, she does this thing. I didn't realize it was a thing. And then when I started seeing my wife and some of us would get sick, my suegra would do this. And I can't explain it, but I felt and I see kind of the benefits of it. So what she does is she basically takes someone's arm, right, and massages all of it, just massages it out. And the way I understood it, the reason why she does it is because there are, like, I guess, blood vessels or veins and whatnot. And it gets to the point where when you're sick, pockets of I don't even know if it's toxins, but pockets that are I guess carry your ailments start populating pieces of your arm. And what that does is constricts, I believe, the blood flow, which ultimately doesn't really isn't beneficial for you. It can stop the healing process. I imagine. I mean, I didn't do any research about it, but this is how I understand it. So what she did on Friday night was basically smooth out. Oh, if you haven't done it, if you haven't done this, do it. I'm feeling it now. What she did was smooth out the arm for my little one, for my son, and he woke up pretty darn good yesterday. We still wanted to take it easy because he still had the sniffles, he had the cough, and he was still raspy, which is kind of pretty wild when you see a toddler kind of talking like this, you know. But it helped him a lot. And so what we did that again last night before putting him into bed, I kind of massaged him, and he wasn't fighting me. He was being a sweetheart. He had his fill of the day, and he was winding down. But his facial reaction was like, oh, 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 you know, because these little knots, basically little knots, and you're smoothing them out, so it could be a little bit sore. Then I also gave him a foot massage, and he knocked out. It was a beautiful evening. My wife and I enjoyed, like, kind of our evening as well. I don't know if y'all know this. I don't even know if I shared it, but she does cocktails with tequila. She calls it craft bebidas. Look her up on Instagram. But oh man, the cocktail she makes, I'm telling you, it is like nothing else. She's really helped me appreciate tequila. Um, because I think leading up to maybe a couple years ago, tequila was seen as like a party drink. You take a tequila shot just to get get the juices flowing, and have a good time. But she kicked off craft bebidas about a year. I think about a year ago or so. Yeah, craft bebidas. Look it up. She does such a wonderful job at it. And she started learning about the agave plant, and because she learns about it, I learned about it too. she she shares with me, and we've even gone to a couple of tastings. And I'll tell you this much: you can now I can now distinguish between like additive free tequila and mezcal versus those that are additive included. And it is pretty wild, the difference. So my wife does a really good job at sticking to additive free tequilas and mezcal, and she makes cocktails. Again, look at craft bebidas. It's a pretty she does a really wonderful job. And so she made a couple cocktails last night. She used bitters in one. I think she made one, and uh, so this is the thing about me, folks, is if I'm gonna relax, if I'm gonna relax and enjoy something, I am gonna enjoy it to the best I can. So like something that's been something I've been focusing on over the last several years is just kind of trying to be present as much as possible. But it's so hard, as you can imagine. Life is busy, life is hectic, life is stressful. So you have multiple thoughts going on at once in parallel, and so what I want to do is just kind of sit there and enjoy the present, enjoy kind of what I'm doing. Um, Now, how that ties back to this is when I do have a moment, and she shares something with me, like a cocktail. I mean, I try to distinguish the various notes and tastes and all the kind of tiny nuances as much as I can, because I don't have like a refined, I guess, taste palette or whatever they call it. Um, to the point where I can distinguish, oh, this is cinnamon, or oh, this is has pears, or oh, this has XYZ. I don't know, but I can tell if I like it. I can tell if I enjoy a drink, and so that's what I try to do now with wine, with tequila and mezcal. I try to go ahead and kind of enjoy the tasting, enjoy the hints of everything that comes with the drink, or the tequila, the mezcal, and the cocktails are no different. The cocktails, especially because there are so many ingredients that go with it. It's not just one alcohol. It's actually, it can be a number of things. I mean, yesterday she was showing me she used a couple of bitters. She used the orange peels, and even with the orange peels, if you haven't done so, check it out. So take a piece of orange or an orange peel, hold it up to light, and just kind of like squish it so that the oils come out. It's pretty wild. I thought I'd never really seen it like that. So she did that, and she made one cocktail. I forget what it was, but it was actually pretty darn amazing. It had like a bitterness, but the bitterness didn't really overpower the fruits that were included. I think it was the fruits. I think, or the tequila that was inside. It was all very well balanced. It didn't hit you. It wasn't over, the tequila wasn't overly strong, so you didn't taste too much of it, but it really did complement the bitters as well as some of the other ingredients on there. Again, I don't know what it is. If she might post it in a couple of days, so check it out. um, but it was awesome. So she made a couple of drinks, and we just unwinded when we chilled. And I'm actually going to share something. All right, I'm going to share something, and I think it's I don't really share it often. I talk to some folks. So I have a few. I have only a few things that I do to kind of unwind and take it easy. I don't consider it a hobby because I don't do it often. But I will share that I do smoke weed. I think it's significant because I think a lot of folks do it. A lot of folks in the digital industry, digital marketing industry, do it, and I think it's still stigma. There's some stigma around it. Um, and even some of the folks that I'm familiar with, some friends who kind of like I've known for a while, are get a little bit uneasy about it, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm not gonna kind of talk about it at nauseum. I do enjoy it for a couple of reasons, particularly, and again, I don't do it every single day. I don't. I think every now and then I reward myself once every couple of weeks or once a month. Reward myself by partaking in the special herb. In any case, I say that because if you haven't tried it, do it at your leisure. Don't pressure yourself. You get too psyched up. If you do it, hit me up. Let me know what you think, or tell me what you do with it, because this is how I do it. Check it out. So last night, we got everything down. My wife, was making her cocktails. Our son was down for the night, and I decided, okay, let me just enjoy a little bit. And I don't do like an entire J. I don't. What I do is one or two hits, through my one hitter. Um, and that's about it. That's really all I need. Like if I do too much, and I think that was one of the reasons why I stood up to 3 a.m. My mind was running around. But in any case, how I did it was I've been trying to practice my breathing, and I know I should be, getting better at it without kind of any substance, and I think that's totally true. But it does help. It does help to kind of like find your breath. So I think with intention, it's not a bad thing, or at least not a terrible thing. I'm not necessarily doing it just because it's the only mindset I can stay in, but rather I wanted to help me with my breathing technique and identifying my heartbeat. That's kind of one of my goals. One of my goals. But addition to that, I also I stretch. I stretch before night, before bed, and it's one of those things where, like, it kind of helps identify those pain points as you're stretching, and just hone in on that. Not necessarily overstretch, but it kind of like amplifies that area. So for me, it's, I think, where was it? I think it might have been my lower back. My lower back. So as the evening wound down, I just stretched it out. I took a hit of a weed, and it was nice. It was very relaxing. And then from there on out, I just watched. I watched some TV. It's all pleasure. It's all business. You have to complement business with pleasure. Uh, so I watched What We Do in the Shadows, and that's actually a segment I'll get into in a little bit. So you see, like the entire day, it was, and then my wife and I watched a couple of episodes of Modern Family. We've been trying to get through it for like almost a year now. Almost a year. It's tough, man. It is tough. You know, our son was great with it, and then up until like maybe a couple of months ago, he got freaked out because there was a clown in there. And like now he won't. He won't do it. Now he won't watch it with us. Um, so yeah, one of the reasons I think maybe I was up more later than I should have was because I did have um, some weeder in the evening. But it wasn't one of those like anxious things. It's more like, what if I do that? Well, maybe if I do this over here, I don't know. So it had me thinking. In any case, here I am enjoying it. I think yesterday was a beautiful day. Very relaxing. Um, spent the time with my family, my wife and my son. Granted, my son is under the weather. He's not doing too bad today. He still has a little bit of sniffles, a little bit of runny nose. He's still kind of a little raspy, but he's a trooper. And I think above all else, he did enjoy just spending with time with my wife and I. It's been a pretty hectic couple of months, so it was nice. It was really, really nice. So that is that. Quality family time. Nothing can replace that. Find something that works out for you. Enjoy it with your son, your daughter, your whomever. Just enjoy it, because honestly, the more I see my son, it's like, man, he's growing up so quick. And we should kind of slow things down. But I'm enjoying it. My wife and I are so we're so in love. We're so in love with each other, but also with him. So it's a beautiful thing. All right. So quality family time. End of the first segment. Second segment, it might go a little bit quicker, but the Edge is a shanty town. Okay, so let me talk about this really quick. So I think last time I talked to you all, I was reading a book about UFOs, and I ended up being got freaked out by it, and stopped reading it. So I picked up another book called "Now Is Not the Time to Panic" by Kelvin Wilson, and I picked it up because I wanted to, laugh. I wanted to be I wanted to read material that was a little bit lighthearted before going to bed. And I found this bad boy, and or should I say bad girl, because the main character is a young lady in I think she's 15, 16 years old. So the plot of the book essentially follows this young lady, Frankie. She is kind of just an awkward teen. She doesn't do much. She doesn't really interact with a bunch of other folks at in her town. Coalfield is where it takes place. And sorry, I'm hearing something. I think our landlord is moving a few things around. So Cofield, and it kicks off with her at a pool and her three triplet brothers all swimming. Well, she wasn't swimming, but she noticed that an individual, a young man, was eyeing her, and he was smiling at her with a crooked smile, and eventually the young man walked up to her and introduced himself, and ultimately, his name, Zeke. His name was Zeke. So Zeke was just letting her know that he was new in town, and he just wanted to hang out. Just be friends, and it worked out that way. They actually they made a friendship, struck up a friendship, and spent a lot of time that summer together, to the point where they actually created. I don't want to give too much of the story away, but they created um, kind of like a piece of art alongside a slogan, and that ultimately that slogan kind of took off in their town, and and it kind of created a. I guess I'm giving you all the story, which is totally fine. It created kind of like a pandemic thingy, not a pandemic, a panic. It created a panic within the town that kind of stretched over across the state and the country, and it became global. So I know it's not as intricate as what the story makes out to be. So it's a pretty unique plot. I really enjoyed it. At first, when I started reading it, I thought it was going to be kind of a coming of age story, and it wasn't that. It was, but it was also so much more. It was really this thing the main character Frankie tried to hold on to, as things kind of blew up. The plot blew up, and Zeke, on the other hand, wasn't really on the same page as Frankie. They shared this thing. They shared this creation, which was a piece of art. But it was getting to the point where it was out of control. It was out of their hands, and more individuals were actually appreciating the piece of art. And what's really funny was that the Edge is a shanty town. Let me see if I can read you the quote here, if I can remember it. Actually, I don't know where it is, but it basically goes: "The Edge is a shanty town. We are fugitives, and the law is hungry for us." And if you keep repeating it, at first I was like, "That's pretty cool." That's a pretty cool. And then as time progressed, or as the book progressed, you started thinking like, man, that's actually a pretty darn cool line. The Edge is a shanty town. We are fugitives, and the law is hungry for us. The Edge is a shanty town. We are fugitives, and the law is hungry for us. So that line began to become so popular in the book. And I haven't even done research. I kind of want to do research to see if it actually is a line somewhere. But the line became so popular in the book, in the kind of like the lore within the book, that people started making T-shirts. People started pinning up posters, kind of similar to what the main characters were doing across town, across the country, across, the globe. So it really became this phenomenon, this panic, where everyone kind of loved the piece of art, because it was a piece of art, a picture that both Frankie and Zeke put together. Kind of overlaid on top of it was the phrase, "The Edge is a shanty town, and we are fugitives, and the law is hungry for us." So it became something that was pretty darn popular for within the book, the world that exists within the book. Um, but nobody really knew who had come up with this. No one knew that it was Frankie, and no one knew that it was Zeke. And it got to the point where it became too much for Zeke. And Zeke didn't want to do anything with it. People started getting hurt. Some people ended up dying because they embraced this piece of art. For example, an individual, I think, an individual who had special needs climbed a water tower and was placing a poster of the phrase in the piece of art, and he fell, and didn't survive. So stuff like that, when individuals started getting hurt, individuals started dying, and people started getting arrested, because after a while, you had the population of this town, Coalfield. They started putting up the same posters that Zeke and Frankie both initially started doing across the town. And so the law got involved, and there were vigilante groups trying to stop the poster from being posted up. And even then, it got to the point where a skater from, I think, the area, he was shot and killed by a vigilante group because of just kind of like the combative behavior between the two. So all of this took a toll on Zeke. And then and I know I'm giving away most of the plot, and that's okay. Like I really enjoyed it. So I kind of like it reaches this crescendo where Zeke no longer wants to participate in all of this, but Frankie says, if we keep doing it, kind of all what we did or what we contributed will get pushed back down, and no one's gonna know about it. And Zeke didn't want anything to do with it, and it came up to this climax where Frankie was at Zeke's house, and she was basically saying, please just come back. We'll keep doing it and it'll be okay. And uh, he pushes her down a set of stairs, and she falls back and breaks her arm. And all of this, all of it was pretty pretty traumatic for Frankie, because Zeke didn't want any of this. And on top of that, his parents found out that he had created it, so they were pulling him away from Coalfield. Again, remember, this was Coalfield was a town he's visiting for summer. So then Frankie goes about her way, and because she didn't want Zeke to get in trouble for pushing her down the stairs, breaking her arm, she actually rams her car into a tree. Yeah, rams her car into a tree. So after that, things started to settle, and I think that was probably the last third of the book. So things start to settle, and then it comes out about 20, 30 years later that Frankie actually participated in the panic, that it came from her. And all that kind of, it basically came out that she participated in it because in her car crash, the person that saved her took the book back that had posters, that had all of that. And the author, or not the author, but the person that saved her called the ambulances. He was an artist as well. So 20 years down the road, the person that saved her sister finds, it comes to light one way or another. Actually, I forget how, but it comes to light that Frankie is the author, or not the author, but the person that did come up with this saying, the edge is a shanty town. We are fugitives and the law is hungry for us. But, after all of this, 20, 30 years after the fact, Zeke hadn't reached out to Frankie at all. And they only had that one summer. But it's pretty wild because Frankie became so successful. She became an author. She was a wife and a mother. And she was still obsessed with her creation, her contribution to the panic. And so much so that she would still not paint, but you put up posters of the piece of art, the painting, and the slogan wherever she had gone. So the last third of the book was essentially her talking to Zeke, 20 to 30 years after that one summer. And it was a quick reconciliation, and I actually really did enjoy how they wrapped it up. He didn't want any part of it 20 to 30 years after the fact, and asked Frankie to kind of take credit for all of it, because he was the artist that painted the piece of art. And yeah, I thought it was a really great book. I really, really enjoyed it. And it was much more different from some of the books that I've read in the past, especially the ones, the one that's about, I think it was aliens from a few books back. But I really loved it. I thought it was going to be a coming of age story. It was, and it wasn't. I think we've all been there. 15 years of old. We're all awkward, so we're all kind of trying to navigate that to see how we fit in, how we don't, what we want to do, and all that good stuff. It is a really good book. I know I gave you point by point kind of all the plot, but please let me know if you ever picked this up or if you have read it. It's I enjoyed it. So now what I'm reading another book. It's called I think it's called The Book of M. A bit creepier, I'm not gonna lie. It's a bit creepier. So I probably won't read it all that much, but this plot is pretty darn cool. So the Book of M basically exists in a kind of post-apocalyptic world where now this was a phenomenon, and maybe even a pandemic, but not that kind of like a biological pandemic where folks got sick. Rather, it looked a little supernatural. It sounded like a little supernatural. So what happened was the world was struck with this ailment where they lost their shadows. They lost their shadows. It's pretty wild. So if there was light, if there was a sun, their shadows wouldn't really be visible. Well, they wouldn't be visible, at least the ones that were sick. So what ends up happening is when the shadows go away, the individual begins to lose themselves to the point where they forget who they are, they forget who their loved ones are, they forget they forget things like opening doors. They even forget that what fire is. On the first couple of pages, the author describes an individual who forgot that fire existed as he walked into it. And right now, it opened up with one character. I'm not sure if they're the main character. I think the chapters are divided by characters. So the character follows on. His wife recently lost her shadow, so it's following that and kind of how nervous he is as he knows about 7 days out is when individuals start forgetting who they are and whatnot. Uh, but we'll see. So far it's a good read, but I don't want to be kind of creeped out before bed. Rather, I want to enjoy. So I'll see. I might read a couple of pages tonight. I have a couple more books from. Actually, I don't know if you can see my shirt. The Digital Summit. Actually, no, this is not. Digital Summit was from the fall. I was at the a conference. I don't know if I recall if I mentioned a couple episodes ago or last episode. I was going to go to DigiMarcon, which is a digital marketing conference in the Midwest, and I got a couple of books out of there. That was a lot of fun. It was really tiring, but I got a couple of books that I might read. Oh, we'll see. I just wanna have a good time before I go to bed. But yeah, that's now is not the time to panic. The Edge is a shanty town, which is not the title of the book, but it is a really impactful quote that exists within the book. Pretty significant quote within the book. Yeah. So I know I'm at 31 minutes. I have one segment left. Take a sip of my café con leche. And I will talk about this for a few minutes. Depends. I might go on a rant, so stick with me. The segment, an underwhelming TV show finale. I don't know if you recall, but I've been watching Better Call Saul up until maybe a couple of weeks ago. I finally wrapped it up, and my perspective on it, I was underwhelmed. As the title of the segment goes, I was really underwhelmed. I wanted to like it more. I think individuals I've talked to said they like it almost as much, if not more, than Breaking Bad. So if you're not familiar with Better Call Saul, it is a Breaking Bad spinoff that follows the lawyer Saul Goodman and kind of like how he came to be, his background, how he got into law, and then ultimately kind of what the events that led up to Breaking Bad. And spoilers, all right? Spoilers. Some of the events that happened, that transpired after the fact. So in all honesty, I'm going to spoil it for you. If you haven't watched it, I'm sorry, you know. But yeah, I mean, parts of it were really cool, but honestly, the plot lines that I really did enjoy more than anything else were the plot lines that included Gus Fring and the Salamancas. So if you're not familiar with this, but Gus Fring and his Salamanca counterparts are all kind of drug kingpins. The Salamancas are, I guess, cartel members, and then everything. And honestly, anything that revolved around that was really exciting. It was super fast paced. I got nervous. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, "What's gonna happen?" Give you a background into Mike Ehrmantraut, I think is his name, as well as some of the other individuals, and that was so enjoyable. I really loved watching all that stuff. Not because it was like drug filled, but it was kind of like it was a thriller. It was suspense and it was a thriller, and thoroughly enjoyed that. It was only when it came back to Saul and his wife. Yeah, he's married. If you haven't watched Breaking Bad, I'm sorry, folks. I hate to ruin it for you, but he was married. It got so boring. It got so boring. I mean, there were some parts where like, all right, this is cool. But it got really, really boring. Because after even at the last season, what they ended up trying to do was kind of ruin this one individual's life. just to have fun with it. And it got me really angry because they were like pretty well off lawyers and just messing around with individuals. It was really aggravating, you know. Um, in any case, it followed them into what happened prior to and after the fact, Breaking Bad, and even the ending was a little just again underwhelming. Uh, he got arrested. He got arrested, and he basically because he's a pretty good lawyer. I'm not gonna lie, but as far as I understand, I'm not a lawyer, but it sounded like he was a pretty good lawyer. He brought down because he was so involved with Walter White in Breaking Bad. They sought after Saul Goodman, and they found him through one means, and he he was facing a pretty hefty time in jail. So he was actually able to kind of talk his way down to only 7 years. I mean, think about it. He was involved with Walter White, which was a drunk kingpin, Gus Fring, which was even bigger than Walter White, and then the Salamancas, which were part of the drug cartel, and kind of being their lawyer, helping them get out of jams and all that stuff, and through illegal or sketchy means. So he could have easily done a ton. I think they were looking at about 200 years in, in jail. He got them down to like 7 years, which is pretty wild. And then he went ahead and I guess kind of to redeem himself, he kind of confessed to a few more things that brought it back up to 83 years. So he was gonna he's gonna stay in jail for a while. Um, but again, it was a little bit underwhelming. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it. I even started doing some theories. So if you don't know this about me, I started doing some theories, watching a bit of a couple YouTube videos around theories, and it's really fun. Sopranos theories is also really really great, something a great rabbit hole to go down if you're into Sopranos. So I started doing that with Breaking Bad, but even the theories are kind of like it's boring. It's boring. Again, the main plot lines that I really enjoyed were Gus Fring, Salamancas, and all that there. So I don't know. I think it's worth a watch. I don't think it was as good as Breaking Bad by any means. But at this point, what I'm trying to do, I was telling my wife, I think it was last night. I was like, babe, I don't even know what to watch anymore. I'm done reading one book. I finished reading this book, which was an awesome book. I finished watching Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, which was okay. And she told me, she's like, Edwin, you're the only one that would be stressing out over having more free time. So I'll see what I'll do. I started watching What We Do in the Shadows. I don't know if you've ever watched What We Do in the Shadows, but What We Do in the Shadows is a show about vampires. There is a movie. You don't have to watch the movie to enjoy the show. There are two separate sets of characters in two different locations, so there really isn't a dependency to watch one over the other. But if you get to watch the movie, enjoy it. It is a hilarious movie. Just all all good around fun. Um, I don't know if you've ever watched Flight of the Concords or know the musical band Flight of the Concords. I think it's like Brett and Tremaine, something like that. I forget. But the guys are just they're folks from New Zealand, and they're just really funny dudes. They're just really funny guys. Uh, I really enjoyed it, and so when I found out that I think it was Brett was coming out, I think he was writing and directing What Do We Do in the Shadows, I was like, I'm gonna watch that. I am gonna watch that, and I enjoy it. I enjoyed it. So really funny movie. I must have watched it a half dozen times or something like that. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it thus far. I'm watching season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. And then yeah, I will see how it goes. I think I'm gonna enjoy it more than Better Call Saul. So that's me. It's been a minute since we caught up. I think last time I recorded something was about a month ago or so, and my goal was to do this weekly. That's what it was. That's hard. That is hard. I'm gonna try to do it as frequent as possible, but right now the cadence does seem like it's about once a month. Um, and we'll see how it progresses. What I am trying to do is kind of like offload a couple of work items to make it a little bit easier for me to engage more, kind of in stuff like this that is geared towards. Well, for one, it's my brand, I would say, to a degree, not necessarily tied to work because it is out of office, but it is a part of me. You know, it is my brand. But also, you know, hiring, I'm trying to get folks to help me out, contractors, with actual work stuff to kind of alleviate me so I can focus on things like my brand, whether it's be doing the podcast like this, stuff on my website, YouTube videos for my practice. um, I did make my first contract hire this past month. So far, so good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm actually thinking about possibly another. We'll see. You know, we'll see. Thankfully, business has been good, and I might need some support doing one thing or another. And yeah, yeah. This next month, we're actually going to Disney World. We're going to Disney World. You believe that? And that's why we've been so keen on watching Cars 2 or any of the Pixar movies. We want our son to go ahead and enjoy it. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to spend some family time as well, together, no matter what. But how cool would it be? Well, he knows Mickey Mouse, he knows Minnie, and I think he's gonna enjoy that. But we want him to kind of be like, watch Toy Story, enjoy Buzz Lightyear and Woody. But we'll see. I think we're gonna enjoy it no matter what. I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I hope I talk to you sooner rather than later. And I hope y'all be safe out there, and take care. Bye bye.